Hi, welcome back to the Crypto Dave YouTube channel. Now today I'm going to do a video on setting up a Syndicate Masternode. So I did some videos recently, I've done a couple of videos over the last week or so, a couple of weeks, about staking Syndicate using their wallet, their desktop wallet. And my plan all along was to stake for a few weeks, see what the results were like, and then move over to a Masternode setup and then see how the results for the Masternode compared to staking by itself. So a couple of days ago I actually went ahead and set up the Masternode, and it was a little bit more complex and a little bit more in depth than I thought it would be. So I started off by using the Cliff on Crypto guide, which is a very good guide, but there are some sort of steps that you need to kind of be aware of, and there's a few things you need to be aware of that aren't actually listed directly in the kind of guide with regards to stuff like the version of Ubuntu you need to kind of install and various other bits and bobs. There were bits that could have been clearer, and I went through online. I looked at various kind of guides on Medium and Steemit and stuff like that, and this I think is probably the easiest guide to kind of follow. So I found this almost at the end of actually when I'd set up my Masternode, so I'd sort of already got over some of the problems that this guide addresses, but I think this is probably the best guide out there at the moment, and we are in January 2018. At the moment I think this is probably the most in-depth and best guide out there. So basically what we will be doing today is I'll just be running through this kind of guide, talking through any things that you need to kind of be aware of, and hopefully giving you a little bit of more in-depth information as to how you can go ahead setting up a Masternode. I've just noticed actually that it says SYNX Masternode and not Masternode there. But anyway, this I think is the best guide. If you have a steemit account and you do use this, pop down to the bottom and give him a thumbs up or an upvote, because he's taken a lot of time, or he or she has taken a lot of time and effort into putting this guide together. So it's always nice to kind of to acknowledge that. But anyway, let's jump into doing the setup, and basically it's done in three parts. So the first part is downloading the local wallet, that's the desktop wallet, getting that synced and doing all the initial steps ready to get all the information together for doing the remote setup. Then we'll jump over and do a VPS setup. I'm using a company called Volta, which is here. Here. This is their main website. I'll put all the links for these below, and I'll talk through them in depth. But so the next step is doing the remote server. So we get that done. We do the installation on the remote server, get that all synced, and then the last stage is then setting up the Masternode, the sort of access to the Masternode, as it were, through your local wallet and switching the Masternode on remotely. So if you haven't done so yet, first thing you need to do is grab a wallet. As I said, I'll put all these links below, but this is the last wallet, or the latest wallet. This is what I'm using at the moment. Now, depending when you come across this kind of video, if it's a long time in the future, there may be more recent versions out, so you can just click on Syndicate QT and grab the latest version. But I grabbed the Windows version. There are Mac and Ubuntu versions, and there is a guide out there where the person is talking through setting up using the Mac wallet, but the sort of process is pretty much identical. So the first thing you need to do is download that, and then you download that onto your computer and set it up and allow it to sync. So if you haven't done that, get going now, because it will take a few hours to sync. And we'll just jump over via TeamViewer, and you can see here, this is my wallet that's running on my desktop machine. And this is what you will see once it's set up. So install the wallet, allow it to sync. If you do have problems with the syncing, what you can do is jump back to the guide. So if we go through to the first bit of the guide, desktop wallet preparation, he's got links to all the bits and pieces here. Now, if you are having issues with it syncing, and I didn't have any issues at all, but some people I think have had issues with it syncing. If you do have issues with it syncing, you can follow this little procedure here, which is basically adding nodes directly into the wallet. So you open the wallet, you go to Help, Debug window, and then Console, and then literally you can just copy and paste these one at a time. Copy one line in, hit Enter, copy the next line, and basically that will allow add these nodes into your wallet, and it will just give you more nodes on your initial kind of wallet, and it will speed up the syncing process. Now, I didn't have any issues with that, but if you do, you can jump through this procedure. The other thing you can do, if we scroll down a little bit further, is if you're a little bit more tech savvy, you can actually download the blockchain. Now this will be the blockchain up to a certain point, it'll probably be a week or two ago, and what you can do is you can download that, put it into your Syndicate folder, overwriting the the initial kind of files, and then when you start to sync, it will sync from just a few weeks ago rather than the beginning of the blockchain. So if you're a little bit more tech savvy, you can do this. And again, you can use this to add the nodes. In this version, instead of doing it through the wallet, what we're doing is editing the Syndicate configuration file here and cutting and pasting, putting these directly into the configuration file. If you do this through the wallet, all this does is actually add it into the configuration file, but this is just a sort of point and click way, and this is a little bit more tech savvy. So anyway, you need to follow these kind of steps. Wait until your wallet is fully synced, and then once it's fully synced, we can move over to moving the coins. Now, I always say to people, whenever you set up a wallet, the first thing you should do is encrypt that wallet and set a backup. So if we jump over, it's very simple, just like any Qt wallet. So your wallet will open up. You just go to Settings, Encrypt Wallet. Now my wallet is already encrypted, so I can't do that, but you encrypt the wallet, and then after you've encrypted the wallet, go to File and Backup Wallet, and then you can just put in the name for your backup wallet, like Syndicate Backup or whatever, and save a backup of your wallet. And whenever you change your wallet, whenever you add addresses or anything like that, always do a fresh backup of your wallet. But anyway, let's jump back over to the guide, because once the wallet is up and running and is fully synced, what we need to do is then move some coins over. So you need 5,000 coins to do a Syndicate Masternode. Now, there's two ways you can do this. If you have your coins on an exchange like Bittrex, you can move over the exact number of coins. That's going to be 5,000 coins exactly. So Bittrex will obviously charge a network fee or withdrawal fee. So you need to make sure that fee is added on top of the number of coins. So you need to make sure that 5,000 coins plus whatever the network charge is sent over. So if you just buy 5,000 coins, you'll find when you move them over to the wallet, you'll probably get 4,999 point something, and you won't have the full amount for a Masternode. So the two ways is just move the correct amount directly over from Bittrex, or the second way is that you can, if you were like me and you accumulated your coins bit by bit. So I bought some coins, then I staked a few coins, and what happened is that I then arrived with more coins than I needed. I had about 5,100 coins, and if you do it that way, what you can do is just an internal transfer within the wallet. So I'll just show you how to do that. So if you have got your initial kind of coins, what you can do is if you go to receive, you'll see you'll have an initial address. Now I've named mine MN prepayment, so this is just my sort of accumulation address. This was the first address that I had, and what you will need to do is set up a new address for your Masternode. Now if you're sending directly from an exchange, you can just put Masternode 1 as your initial address, send 5,000 directly to that. If you've got more coins in the thing, you need to send them into a new address that has 5,000 coins exactly, and that is explained over here in the guide here. So it's talking about kind of backing up the wallet. So we've got our Masternode. Now what we need to do is go to Help, Debug Window Console, and you do a Get New Address. So you just type in Get New Address space Masternode 1. I'll just show you exactly where that's done. So you go to Help, Debug Window, and then Console, and you just type that command directly in. So that is Get New Address space Masternode 1, and that will basically create this new address, the Masternode 1 address. And then what you need to do is send coins to that address. So you go to the Send tab, and then what you need to do is in Settings, go to Options, and in the Windows, not the Windows section, in the Display section here, we need to check this box. So this is Display Coin Control Features. So you need to check that and click OK or Apply, and then you'll get this Inputs feature. So we go to the Send tab, we go to Inputs. Basically what you'll do is you'll copy your Masternode address. So we'll go to here and we'll go, right, this is our Masternode address, right click, copy address, and then you go to Send Inputs, and what you need to do is send it from your prepayment. So you can click here and there'll be nothing in your Masternode 1 at this time. You'll have all your coins here. So you check that, so it's going to be sent from there into your Masternode. You click OK, you pay to, you paste your address into here, and then the label will automatically pop up. So that's Masternode 1, and then we need to send our coins. So it'd be 5,000 coins, and you'll see here it's insufficient funds because I've only got 184, but it'd be 5,000 coins, and then it will give you your fees. What will often happen is that then it will say it might be above the the network kind of threshold, you have to pay a little bit more to do it. But you need to make sure that the amount that's actually going to Masternode 1 is 5,000 and your fees are added on top of that. So you do that, send it over. It takes, I think, normally about 10 confirmations, I believe, for a local transaction. The local transactions show up like this. This is a mined transaction or a Masternode payment. So they show up like this. And if we go into my transactions, we can see here, mine was on the 13th. And it's the payment to yourself. So the two things you need to do is send that payment over. So we'll now have 5,000 coins in the Masternode address. And then what you need to do is right click that and go to show transaction details. And then what you need to do is copy and paste this transaction ID into a text file somewhere local on your computer, because we will need this later when we're setting up the Masternode. So copy that into a local text file, and then jump back over to the guide and we will go through the next step. So we've done this now, so we've sent the coins over, and then what we need to do basically is run a couple of commands. So you can go through all the different information here. It goes through in detail about how you do the transactions, but it's basically just as I explained. And then what we need to do is run two commands. So we need to go back to the console. So that's help, debug, and console. And we need to type in two commands. The first one is masternode space outputs, and that will then basically give you a result that looks a little bit like this. Now, this is something that's not immediately apparent from some of the other guides. So this is your sort of transaction ID, and then this second bit is actually the index. Now, at the time it said you should receive two, and I thought it would be two sort of full transactions like this, but it's actually, this is both the parts. So this is the two parts itself. So copy and paste that into the text file where we grabbed the transaction ID. You'll find that the transaction ID and this is basically the same, and then this is your index here. And then you need to run one more command, and that is to generate a Masternode private key. So you go back into the console and you type masternode space gen key. You can copy and paste these from the guide directly in, and then that is your basically your Masternode private key, and we copy that again back into the same text file that we had all this other information in. So you'll have a text file that will hold your Masternode private key, and then you'll have your transaction ID and then the output from this, which will look very similar to that. And your Masternode gen key will just be a long string similar to that in a way, but it would just be one long string. And we need that when we're setting up the server remotely. So anyway, that's it for the first part. That's all you need to do in order to kind of get your coins over. So again, read through this a few times just so you make sure that you know exactly what you're doing. But that's how we get the kind of coins over. So we can send them directly into an account from an exchange. Excuse me. Or if we've got more than enough coins already in our wallet, we set up just a new address called Masternode 1, and then we send 5,000 coins exactly, plus the network fees, whatever it's going to cost you. So you get 5,000 in that address. And if you set up the coin control, so we go into the options and the settings and set up coin control, that allows you then to pick where it's going to be sent from. So we do that, and then we've run our little commands, and we've got that. That's all in a text file. Now the next stage you need to do is to go over to Volta or another VPS provider. I know some people have used DigitalOcean and people like that, but this is probably the cheapest one out there at the moment. So you go over to this site. Again, it will be linked in the description below, and then you can create an account, and then basically you will go in and you'll log into your account, and you'll come to a page like this. And what we need to do is click the plus to deploy a new server. You can see my Masternode's already set up. So there's a couple of things you need to be aware of here. So click plus, and then choose wherever you want to set up a server. Now, what you will find is that not all server sizes are available in all locations. So, for example, in Amsterdam here, the $250 a month server is not available, whereas if we go over to somewhere like kind of New York, you'll probably find that it is available, and there's more options there. So we need basically this. It's £5 a month. It's the one CPU, and it's 1,024 megabytes with the 1,000 gigabyte bandwidth. And choose somewhere that has that available, and then you need to go to Ubuntu, and you need to check, and this is very important, you need to go for 14.04. Now, when I first set up my first one, I actually chose a later version. I think I chose 16.04, it might have even been 17.10, because the guide I was using didn't explain not to do that. So you have to use 14.04. If you don't, then basically the installation will fail. So you do that, that's all you need to do. Choose a location, choose this one CPU, 1000 meg, 1000 gigabyte bandwidth, Ubuntu 14.04, and click deploy now. Now that will take maybe a minute or two to go through, and then once it has, you will get in your server list here, there will be a list there. So I should also say, when you click to deploy a new service, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can put a host name. So you can put Syndicate Masternode or Masternode 1, whatever you want there. So we've now got our server, we've set it up. It should be the 1024 megabyte server, and then if you click on that, you get some more information about it. So this is all the information we need. By default, it sets up a username, which is root. You have your IP address, which is what we will need later on. So go ahead and copy that IP address into the text file where we put all those commands from the local wallet. And then if you actually click here, it will show you your password, or you go here just to copy the password. So let's copy that password. And then what we need to do now, as we've seen here, so this goes through all this information, but we basically need to go through and log into our remote server and set up basically this command, and this will do the installation of the root server. Now if you have a Mac like I do, you can use terminal. So this is our terminal here, and this is just a sort of telnet or SSH sort of terminal, or you can, if you use Windows, you can open up something called PuTTY. I'll link that below, so you can download PuTTY, and that is an telnet and SSH client. So what you need to do, if you're using terminal like me, you log in just by typing SSH. So that's the protocol we want to use to connect to it, and then root is the user, and then and then that is the IP of our server. So if we look back there, you can see there, that's the IP of our server. So do that, hit that, and then it will ask you for your password. You can copy and paste your password into it, and then we will arrive here. And basically all we need to do now is copy and paste this line. So this is a line we need to copy and paste. Now bear in mind, this is all one line. So if that has been truncated, you know, on the thing, you think this all needs to be in one line. So copy and paste that. You can copy and paste it into a text file. Make sure that's all on one line, and then literally paste it into there. Hit return, and it will go through and ask you for a few questions. So it will initially ask you how many masternodes you want to set up. We're just going to set up one, so type 1, hit return, and then it will ask you for 3 bits of information. So it will ask you for an RPC user and an RPC password. So RPC user, that can be whatever you want. It could be your name, or, you know, Syndicate Masternode 1, whatever. And then the password, just set up a really long string of characters. Put that in, make a note of those in your text file that we used earlier, and then what you will also be asked for is your Masternode private key. Now that is obviously in our text file because we saved that earlier, and that was the Masternode when we generated the private key. So that was Masternode gen key was our command, and then the private key that it set up we put into our text file. So copy that in, hit return, and then basically wait for 5 to 10 minutes for the setup to finish. Now you can run a couple of additional bits and pieces. These aren't essential, but they will help to secure your server. So if you want to, you can run through these. You can also allow sort of more secure SSH access by only allowing it from your local IP if you have a fixed IP. But basically that's all we have to do in order to get the wallet or the Masternode set up on the remote server. So it is a really simple way, and it's much simpler than maybe some of the other guides where we're doing it manually. So we literally put it in, say we want one Masternode, put in a username, password. We save those in the text file because we'll need those later, and then we put in our Masternode private key that we generated from the local wallet earlier. So hit return. That will take, as I say, a few minutes to run through. Now what will happen is that it will then start to sync on the VPS with the blockchain, and it will take several hours to download and sync that blockchain. I think for me it took about 6 hours altogether, so it can be a bit time consuming, but what you can do is once you're logged in here, once it's all kind of run, you can change to the Masternode user. So it will set up one called MN1 if we've set up one Masternode, and that's the user. So you can just change to that user, SU space MN1. And then what we can do is run this command. So we just type in syndicated space get info, and if you hit return, you'll get this output. So this is quite useful. So basically blocks, this is how much of the blockchain has been processed. So this is the current block that it is on, and what you need to do is compare this to your local wallet. So if we jump back to the local wallet, you can see down here on the bottom right corner, let me just move that up a little bit. Oh, sorry. You can see here there's a little tick, and if you roll over that tick, you can see it says up to date, and it says processed 1105981. So that's 1105981. If we jump back to the terminal, we can see here we're 1105981. So we're up to date. So basically our remote server is matching our local desktop wallet. Now what you'll find initially is that they won't match. This will be maybe something like 900,000 rather than 1.1 million. And what you can do is you can run a command just to make it update every so often, or you can just pop back and just run it again. So we were 981, we're now on to 985. So you can just hit that every so often and have a look and check. After a few hours, it will basically be up to date with the local wallet. So if you scroll over there, this is the easiest way to do it. You can actually do it through the console, but it's easier just to roll over there and have a look at what block we're up to. So that's basically what you need to do for the remote desktop. So at that point, we're back to here. So we got to the end here. It's all logged in. It's all we've created the Masternode remotely, and the blockchain is all synced. As I said, it will take a few hours. You might need to leave it overnight. But once we've got to that stage and your local wallet and the remote wallet are matching in terms of the block height, we now need to go back to our desktop wallet and add the Masternode into this. So jumping back over to the local wallet, what we do is we go to Masternodes. Now what you need to do is unlock the wallet, and if you don't, then it won't allow you to create one. So if you've got an existing wallet that's unlocked for staking only, if you just click unlock and uncheck that, so if it's already unlocked for staking only, I find sometimes this doesn't work. So if you uncheck that, so you want to completely unlock it, sometimes it doesn't. So I find the easiest way to do it is just to lock the wallet like that. And then what will happen in a few seconds, that will turn to a little lock icon. We'll lock the wallet, and then you go back to unlock wallet, uncheck that because we want it completely unlocked, and then you basically put in your wallet address, and then that will be unlocked and we can set up our Masternode. Now what we do now is click create, and it will ask you for various information. Now this is basically the information we outputted from the wallet early. So we have our text file that should have basically all of this information. So you will type in your Masternode alias, and now that's normally Masternode 1, and then you'll put in your IP and port, and basically as we can see here, that's just this IP address here. So this is the IP address of your server. So you copy that in, and then you'll put a colon, and then after the colon you'll put 9999. So the port that it uses is 4 nines basically. So whatever your IP address is, put that in, then a colon, then 9999. Let me just jump back over to that. So you put that in the address. Then your private key, this is the Masternode private key that we use to set up our remote server. So copy that over. And then your transaction ID. So this is your, let me just stop that. So that's when we went over to our initial transaction, we went to transaction details and copied that. That is basically this bit here. So you need to copy this transaction ID. It should be in your text file because we did that earlier. But you copy that basically into this input here. So that's a transaction hash. So into your transaction ID, it's actually 5000 Masternode ID. And then the output index. So that's the second number when we did our outputs. So let me just clarify that. So if we jump back to the guide, when we ran, just bear with me 1 second, I'll grab the actual command. So that's this bit here. So when we did our Masternode outputs, as I said, that it actually creates two. So this is actually our transaction ID, and then this second one is the index. And it's not always apparent. So in this case it's 0. In my case it was 1. It could be 2. It could be anything like that, but it will probably just be a single number. It could be 0, 1 or 2, something like that. So that is basically our index that we have to put in. So if we jump back to here, that is the output index. So put the 1 or 0, whatever it is for you in there. And then you don't need to worry about these two bottom ones. There's a donation address if you want to donate a portion of your Masternode earnings, and then you can put the percentage if you want. So click OK, and then it will pop up here. And then what we have to do is just click this button here, Start All, and you should get this status: Masternode is running. Now there are a few bits and pieces that can kind of go wrong. You can get like a VIN issue. Almost all the time is because it's not unlocked properly. But do that, you should get Masternode is running, and then what we can do is jump back over to our VPS and check that everything's running properly here. So that should be running, and then what we do is we jump back over here where we put syndicated get info before. What we would do now is put syndicated space Masternode space status. If you then hit enter, what you should see is something like this. So you should have a VIN, and then this is what you need to look at, and this is the status, and it should be on 9. Now occasionally when your Masternode is starting, for me it popped up as 2 for a while, but it was only like that for 2 or 3 minutes, and then eventually it will kind of like update, and then after a few minutes it should go to 9. Now it always says here at the bottom, not capable of reason, could not connect to the IP address. It doesn't matter. If you've got status 9, your Masternode basically is running. So we can go ahead and exit out of there. So basically that's what we need to look for. We need to look for Masternode is running here, and then on our remote VPS we need to just run this command, syndicated space Masternode space status, and we should hopefully have a status 9 there. And then basically the Masternode's running. You can close down your wallet here. Now in my case I've got a few extra coins, so I actually leave mine unlocked for staking, but you can just close it down. It's not an issue at all. Let's just jump back to the guide very quickly. So we've gone through basically all these steps here. This is the this is where we've got the information. Let me just scroll down 1 second. Here we go. So this is where we've set up the Masternode. So we've put out all our information in, we've clicked Start All, and then we've seen our Masternode is running. Now what you can do to double check that is if we jump back into our local wallet and open it up again, is that after a short while, so maybe leave it 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, maybe even half an hour, and then what you should be able to do is, oops, sorry, it's already running in the bottom there, is you should be able to go to Masternodes, and then we're in my Masternode. If you go to Syndicate Network, you can order by IP address. So we can see here we're ordered by IP address, and then we can scroll down and just check that our Masternode is appearing in the list. So we were, if you wait for 1 second, oops, 207.148.25.220, and I can just show you that. So you can see that matches with our IP address there, so that's all good. So our Masternode is showing in the list here, so that's good. That means that everything's working well. The Masternode is running. Now what you will see is when you first often jump over to this, and this is a little bit bizarre, and I think it's an issue with the wallet, is that often these columns here will be filled in. So it will have when it was last active, when it was last seen, all this kind of information. Now what I tend to find is that sometimes you go into it, some of this information appears, and then after 10 seconds or so it all disappears. But as long as you're in the list here, it should be running, and as long as it says here Masternode is running, everything should be fine. And then, as I said, you can shut down your local wallet. If you are still staking with other coins, you can leave it open, but if you're not, you can just close your wallet, and you can just open it up every day or two and check to see that your stakes have been arriving. So what I would do is go through all those kind of things. It can be a little bit frustrating because you have to wait for several hours initially for your desktop wallet to synchronize, and then for the remote VPS to synchronize. But once that's all done, it's a pretty straightforward kind of process. As I said, this is a really good guide. I don't know who Grand2 is, but they've put a really good guide together here, and if you follow this bit by bit, everything should be fine. If you do have issues, the Telegram group is pretty good. I'll put a link to that in the description below. You're more than welcome to put comments or ask me questions in the comments below. But I have to say, I'm not an expert in Syndicate Masternode. I've gone through and set it up using kind of guides on the internet and a few bits of help from the Telegram. Is it Telegram group? Telegram group, yes, sorry. Which I will link below. But I'm not an expert at Linux and anything, so I will try and help out if I can, but if it's stuff that's beyond me, you may be better off trying to seek help from the community. But if you scroll to the bottom of this, there's various infos and FAQs. So what if I restart the VPS? So it does automatically restart up your wallet. It can take a few minutes for everything to get completely up to sync again, but it will start up again automatically. And then there are a few little bits here about potential problems. So could not allocate VIN. I've seen this before, and for me it was exactly the same. It's because I hadn't unlocked my wallet before I clicked to start the masternodes. There is this bit as well. I haven't had this issue, but occasionally wallets will say that masternodes aren't running when they are. I'm hoping this is something that will be addressed in the next version of the desktop wallet. I don't know whether it will be, but if it says it's not running, you know, double check that you are receiving your rewards. If you're not receiving rewards after like a day or two and it says it's not running, it may be more of an issue, but occasionally it can change to not running when it actually is. So don't be unduly alarmed if that happens. But after a day or two, you know, log back into your wallet once the masternode's been running maybe for a day, and you should see some transactions starting coming through. So anyway, that's it for now. It's become a bit long-winded. I don't know how useful this will be. I've been jumping back and forth, and really I think the easiest thing is just to follow this guide sort of step by step, cutting and pasting each of the kind of commands as and when you go through. But the general process is get your local wallet sorted, get it, you know, downloaded, get it synced, move your coins over to that. Then you do your VPS stuff, and again that is, you know, literally just running those commands that were on the guide here and putting in the information. And then your last step is then activating the masternode remotely, so that you go back to your desktop wallet and you put in the information for the masternode, all those bits we put in our text file, and click to start the masternode. And then that should be basically talking to your remote masternode. It should start it up, it should make sure everything's fine, and then you can turn off your wallet. And as long as your VPS is running remotely, everything should be fine. But as I said, log in after every, you know, after a day or two, and maybe, you know, log in every few days, particularly at the beginning when you're not sure if things are running 100%, just to make sure you are seeing rewards come through. But with a masternode, you should really be seeing rewards coming through sort of every day. If nothing's come through for maybe 2 to 3 days, then there potentially is a problem. But anyway, I hope this has been useful. I will do a follow-up video maybe in a month with actually my results from running a masternode and how they compare to purely staking. If you're not particularly tech savvy, you can just download the wallet and stake your coins, and then you can stake with any number of coins, and it is still quite profitable. So at the moment, you know, most people are saying that a masternode is more profitable than just staking, but I haven't got the figures to back that up yet. But just staking by itself, as you have seen from my previous video, is pretty profitable. So if you're not tech savvy and you don't really want to go down this route, you know, don't worry about it at all. You can leave the wallet open and you can stake from an open wallet as well. But anyway, thanks for watching. Leave any questions below. Give me a thumbs up if this has been useful. Consider subscribing to the channel if you like this kind of content. And hopefully I will see you on the next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.